Ryan Bennett was a successful entrepreneur, but he never flaunted his wealth. He believed that a person's true value is shown through their actions, not their bank account. One day, his mother, Emily Bennett, decided to stay at a well-known luxury hotel in London. She had always dreamed of traveling and wanted to treat herself to a nice weekend. When she entered the hotel lobby, the receptionist, a young woman named Claire, looked at her with clear disdain. Emily was dressed simply, with no expensive jewelry or designer brands. Claire hid a smirk and didn't even bother to greet her properly. This hotel is for high-status guests. Perhaps you should look for something more affordable, she said coldly. Emily hesitated. I'd like to book a room. Do you have any available? Of course, but they are quite expensive. Are you sure you can afford such a stay? A few other guests overheard the conversation and smirked in Emily's direction, clearly agreeing with the receptionist. Emily felt humiliated. She didn't argue, didn't make a scene, she simply turned around and left the hotel. She had no idea that soon this hotel would never be the same again. Because her son, Ryan Bennett, had already found out what happened. Emily returned home quiet and upset, but she didn't say anything to her son. However, Ryan immediately sensed something was wrong. "Mom, is everything okay?" he asked. Emily didn't want to complain, but when she saw the concern in her son's eyes, she told him everything. Ryan listened in silence. Inside him, anger started to boil. Not because his mother was denied service, but because she was humiliated. "What was the name of that hotel?" he asked calmly. Emily hesitated but told him. Ryan nodded. "I'll take care of it." The next day, he called his lawyer. "Find out who owns that hotel. I want to buy it." The lawyer was surprised. "But why?" "That hotel isn't even that profitable," Ryan smirked coldly. "Because it's not about profit. It's about principle." 2 weeks later, Ryan Bennett became the new owner of the hotel. But no one there knew it yet. Ryan bought the hotel, but he didn't reveal himself right away. He wanted to see how things worked from the inside. Most new owners immediately announced their arrival, making big changes. But Ryan decided to take a different approach. His first day at the hotel. Disguised as an ordinary guest, he booked a room and arrived at the same hotel where his mother had been humiliated 2 weeks earlier. At the reception, he saw Claire again, the same receptionist. She glanced at his expensive suit and luxury watch, and her attitude changed instantly. "Good evening, sir." "Welcome. What type of room would you like?" she asked with a polite smile. Ryan returned her smile but decided to test her. "What are your most affordable options?" For a split second, Claire's smile faltered. "Well, most of our guests prefer the luxury suites, but if you're looking for something cheaper, we do have standard rooms." Ryan felt the same hidden arrogance in her voice. He looked her straight in the eyes. "Do you always judge people by their appearance?" Claire froze. "What? No. Of course not, sir." Ryan said nothing. He simply took the key and went to his room. But tomorrow, this hotel was going to change forever. And Claire had no idea what was coming. The next morning, all hotel staff were called for an urgent meeting. Claire, like the other employees, had no idea what was happening. Someone new bought the hotel, her colleagues whispered. Probably just another rich investor, Claire scoffed. She was sure it wouldn't affect her. But when Ryan Bennett walked into the conference room, her heart dropped. He stepped up to the podium, calmly scanning the room, and said, "Good morning. I am your new owner." The room fell silent. But no one was more shocked than Claire. She sank into her chair, suddenly remembering their conversation at the reception desk. Ryan continued, "From today, we will have new rules. Every guest will be treated with respect. There will be no more judgment based on appearance or wealth." Claire felt a cold sweat on her forehead. She realized that her future was now in the hands of the man she had unknowingly insulted. And in just a few minutes, she would be called in for a private conversation. After the meeting, Claire was called into the owner's office. Her hands were trembling as she knocked on the door. "Come in," Ryan's calm voice answered. Claire slowly stepped inside, avoiding eye contact. Ryan sat at his desk, studying her silently. "Do you recognize me?" he finally asked. Claire nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." I'm so sorry," she whispered. Ryan leaned forward. "You've worked here for 3 years, correct?" "Yes, sir, and in those 3 years, has anyone ever told you that guests shouldn't be judged by their looks?" Claire swallowed hard. I didn't mean to be rude. Ryan cut her off. "But you were. You humiliated my mother without even knowing who she was." Claire felt her chest tighten. "Please, give me another chance," she begged. Ryan stared at her for a long moment. Then, he made his decision. "You have 2 options," he said. Claire sat up straight, listening. 1. You leave today and never work here again. She held her breath. 2. You stay, but you go through a full retraining program. And if I ever hear that you disrespected a guest again, you'll be fired on the spot." Claire was stunned. She expected him to fire her immediately. Instead, he was giving her a second chance. "I'll take the training, sir." "I want to change," she said quickly. Ryan nodded. "Prove it." Claire left the office, shaken but grateful. She had learned a life-changing lesson. As for Ryan? That evening, he visited his mother and said, "Mom, you can go back to that hotel anytime. And this time, no one will ever doubt that you belong there. Because kindness and respect should never be based on appearance."